Hey everyone, welcome back. We're diving into something really interesting today.
Yeah.
It's California's new law on textile waste,
Right.
SB 707,
Mhm.
the Responsible Textile Recovery Act of 2024.
Big one.
It is a big one, and we're going right to the source for this deep dive,
Okay.
the bill itself.
Sounds good.
So
Yeah.
get ready because we're going to unpack all the need to know.
This law is a big deal. It's
Yeah,
a major shift in how we think about clothes and textile.
absolutely.
It's not just tossing old clothes in a bin anymore. It's
Yeah.
really about changing our whole mindset.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So let's break down the why.
Okay.
Why is California doing this? What's the problem they're trying to solve?
They're tackling this huge problem, textile waste, head on.
Okay.
The goal is to reduce how much clothing ends up in landfills
Makes sense.
and to minimize the environmental impact
Right.
of textile production and disposal. They're putting a real emphasis on repair, reuse, and responsible recycling.
So it's more than just recycling.
Hmm.
They're really prioritizing reduce and reuse.
Exactly. That's the core of it.
Okay.
This whole concept of a waste management hierarchy.
Right.
It's central to the law.
I see.
It's like you've got this pyramid.
Okay.
And at the top, the most preferred actions are reducing waste and reusing materials.
So California is setting a pretty strong example here.
Yeah, definitely.
Could this impact other states too?
Oh, absolutely. You often see this with environmental regulations.
Right.
When California takes the lead, the rest of the country often follows suit.
Yeah, that's a good point.
This law could really be a catalyst for a nationwide movement toward a more sustainable and responsible textile industry.
That's huge.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, how will this impact what we buy
Yeah.
and the companies that make our clothes?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah,
This law has the potential to completely change the textile industry as we know it.
for sure.
But before we get ahead of ourselves,
Right.
let's look at the specifics of the law
Oh.
and see who it directly impacts.
Okay, good idea. So who exactly is affected by this law? It sounds pretty massive.
It is. It's far-reaching.
Yeah.
And it might surprise you who it targets.
Okay.
We think of, old T-shirts,
Right.
worn-out jeans.
Yeah.
But the law's definition of apparel and textile articles,
Mhm.
it's much broader.
Okay, give me some examples.
Yeah.
What kind of things are we talking about?
Think beyond, like, your everyday clothes. We're talking everything from,
Yeah.
like, the elaborate silks of saris
Oh, yeah.
to baby onesies.
Oh,
Even decorative items, like tapestries.
really?
Those are included.
So it's not just about what we wear.
Right.
It's also textiles used in our homes for cultural purposes.
That's right. And then it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
When you look at who's responsible under the law,
Okay.
the term producer isn't as simple as it sounds.
So break it down for me. Who are these producers?
Imagine a chain.
Okay.
Okay. At the start, you've got the brand owner.
Right.
They design and market the clothing.
Okay.
Then you've got the manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
Then importers who are bringing textiles into California.
So the responsibility kind of goes down the line.
It's a whole hierarchy of responsibility.
What about secondhand shops? Are they subject to the same rules?
That's a great question, and it highlights an important distinction in the law.
Okay.
Sellers of secondhand items are actually exempt.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, thrift stores,
Right.
online resale platforms,
Yeah.
they're off the hook.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah.
It seems like it would be counterintuitive to their purpose.
Right. This exemption recognizes how important they are
Yeah.
in giving textiles a second life.
It seems like lawmakers are really considering the whole textile ecosystem here.
Exactly. They're not just targeting individual consumers,
Right.
it's the whole picture. And to manage something this complex,
Yeah.
the law introduces a key player,
Okay.
the Producer Responsibility Organization,
The PRO.
or PRO.
Okay, what is that?
Think of them like the conductor of an orchestra,
Right.
bringing everyone together. Right.
To achieve a common goal.
So instead of each company trying to figure this out alone,
Right.
they work together through this PRO.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the bar is set high for these PROs.
Okay. How so?
They need to demonstrate financial stability,
Mm-hmm.
represent a diverse range of producers,
Makes sense.
and the big one,
Yeah.
they have to have a comprehensive and workable plan.
That sounds like a huge responsibility. What are some of the key things this plan needs to include? That sounds like a huge responsibility. What are some of the key things this plan needs to include?
Well, it needs to address the collection of unwanted textiles.
Okay.
It has to outline how the PRO will set up these convenient drop-off locations
Right.
across the state,
Makes sense.
and not just a few spots here and there.
Yeah.
The law says there has to be a minimum number of collection sites per county.
Oh, really?
so it's accessible to everyone.
So no more excuses. I don't know where to take this.
Exactly.
They're making it easy to do the right thing. But it's not just about collecting clothes, is it?
Right.
The law really emphasizes repair and reuse.
That's the really interesting part.
Yeah, what does that look like in practice?
The plan has to prioritize repair and reuse
Okay.
over just recycling.
Right.
So instead of just tossing out a ripped shirt,
Yeah.
you get it repaired.
I love that.
Give it a second life.
It's like giving our clothes the respect they deserve. But how do we actually make that happen on a larger scale?
Well, it all comes down to incentives and infrastructure.
Okay.
The law actually talks about eco-modulated fees.
Eco-modulated fees.
Yeah, it's kind of like a discount for companies making eco-friendly choices
Interesting.
if they're prioritizing durable designs.
Right. Using recycled materials,
Okay.
they could pay lower fees.
So it's like a reward system
Exactly.
for companies doing things the right way.
Right. And for the ones who don't, well,
Yeah.
it might cost them more. That's a pretty smart approach.
It is.
Yeah.
What happens to the clothes that can't be repaired or reused?
Well, that's where recycling comes in.
Okay.
But even with recycling, the law is pushing for new ideas.
In what way?
The plan needs to address developing strong markets
Okay.
for recycled textiles.
I see.
So maybe finding new ways to break down fabrics,
Right.
creating new materials from them.
So we're not always relying on virgin resources.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Closing the loop on textile production.
The whole law feels like it's designed to change our thinking.
Yeah.
From that take, make, dispose model
Right.
to a more circular economy.
Exactly. And to make sure this actually happens,
Right.
there are some strong accountability measures built in.
Okay. Like what?
Rigorous reporting, independent audits.
So they're really serious about this.
Yeah, and the Department of Resources Recycling and Recovery will be keeping a close eye on everything.
No cutting corners then.
Yeah.
What happens if a producer doesn't follow the law?
There are penalties.
Are they significant?
Yeah, potentially thousands of dollars per day in fines.
Wow. They mean business. This law is really ambitious.
It is. It's a big step.
It really makes you think about our clothes in a whole new way.
It's about changing how we value our clothes and the resources that go into them.
It's been fascinating to dive into this new law with you. I'm really curious to see how this unfolds.
Me too. This is just the beginning.
It is. If you're listening and want to learn more about this groundbreaking law,
Hmm.
we'll include a link to the full text on the Department of Resources Recycling and Recovery's website.
You can really dive into the details there.
Exactly. And until next time, let's all try to keep those clothes out of the landfills.